Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our WNCT Now Early Afternoon News Update. I'm Kelsey O'Donnell here inside the digital studio with some of today's top news headlines. We're monitoring weather conditions across the country. Here in the East, people are making some final preparations ahead of severe weather patterns. Our Storm Team 9 meteorologist Alex Wasilenko joins us from the studio with what we can expect.
Happy little Friday, everybody. I'm your Storm Team 9 meteorologist, Alex Wasilenko, reporting from the WNCT studios in the Storm Team 9 Weather Center. Today is a weather alert day in eastern North Carolina as a powerful storm system approaches this afternoon and finally arrives later today with strong to severe storms and even isolated very strong long-track tornadoes. PrecisionCast is depicting those isolated strong to severe storms to bubble up this afternoon and become a bit more intense and widespread for the early evening and into the late night hours. By 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, that's when we're expecting the severe weather to work closer to the Crystal Coast and Outer Banks. And thereafter, you'll notice we quiet down for only a brief period of time. And then by the Friday morning commute into school and work, it's a secondary cold front moving through. A secondary cold front will provide some more heavy downpours, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. But more importantly, it's going to provide some brisk northerly winds and much cooler temperatures throughout the day. We'll start the day in the 40s and 50s and eventually wind up in the 30s and 40s by the afternoon and early evening. In fact, those northerly winds could be so dang strong, it could mean some minor to moderate coastal flooding for the Crystal Coast, the Outer Banks, and Soundside communities. In terms of the severe weather risk today, the moderate risk, the 4 out of 5 on the severe weather scale, has been narrowed down to include Onslow, Duplin, Craven, Jones, Carteret, Wayne, and Lenoir counties. And that red shaded area is where you'll find the highest tornado risk for today. A power outage probability, that is going to be rather high today as well, as winds could gust upwards of 75 miles per hour with any one storm. It's going to be important to remain weather aware today and have multiple ways to get those severe weather alerts. You can download your free Storm Team 9 weather app for all the latest forecast details. Your 7-day inland forecast calling again for an active day today. More rain showers and an isolated thunderstorm by Friday for Touchdown Friday. But by the time we reach those Touchdown Friday games, temperatures are going to be cold. Again, sinking back into the 30s and 40s by day's end on Friday. The first day of spring, of course, that cool down Friday will set us up for a chilly first day of spring with highs in the low 50s under partly cloudy skies. Temperatures will gradually warm back up into the 60s to low 70s later next week, with drier weather on the way and no severe weather in sight after this weekend. Stay weather aware and as safe as you possibly can, ENC. I'm your Storm Team 9 meteorologist, Alex Wasilenko.
All right, thank you, Alex. Our sister station in Alabama reports there's significant damage to homes and communities. Reporter Michael Clark shares one woman's incredible story of survival. Michael?
4 big old trees.
Walking in between the trees that destroyed her home.
Everything I worked hard for is gone.
Jennifer Patterson knows that despite the damage to her car and property,
This is my living room. This is where I sit every day.
it's a blessing she's still alive tonight. Patterson was all packed up, ready to head to her son's house for shelter after a tornado warning in nearby Moundville.
And I realized I didn't have my keys. So I took a screwdriver and was trying to get my door open to get my keys. And I just kept messing with it. And being in Moundville, that's not that far away. So I thought, I don't have time for this.
With the storm moving closer, Patterson ran to her backyard, ducking under brush in a ravine.
I was down in there holding on. And that little tree right there yonder is probably the one I was holding on to.
While trees fell around her, Patterson stayed on the phone with her son, not knowing if it was the last call the two would share.
He was hearing everything that was going on. He was hearing his mama scream. He was hearing the sounds go. And, I was just, all I could do was just say, Jesus, watch over me. Jesus, watch over me. And then it just kept going and going and going. And finally I just said, Jesus, take it away. And it's just like you could hear it easing up.
Somehow unharmed, Patterson is thankful to be reunited with her son. They'll return tomorrow to see what can be salvaged, but tonight she's counting her blessings.
I started once, I'll start again. And I know the good Lord was watching over me, because how that little old bitty tree held me, I don't know, but it did.
Again, that was Michael Clark reporting from our sister station. Make sure you're ready for bad storms by prepping your home and your family with tools and knowledge. When severe weather hits, like a tornado, make sure to avoid windows and pick a safe room to pile into. Experts say a basement is the safest place. However, there are other options if you don't have access to one. They say head to a bathroom without windows or a closet, whichever is on the lowest floor. It's also encouraged to have a flashlight and batteries if the power does go out. If you have time, move any garbage cans or patio furniture inside and pack a bag with food, water, and a first aid kit. If caught outside, take shelter in a sturdy enclosed building or hardtop automobile immediately. Avoid open spaces, isolated objects, high ground, and metal objects. And with those severe weather threats, colleges across the East are closing early today. ECU will end class sessions at 2 p.m. Craven Community College will also let its students out early. Classes will also end at 2 o'clock. Stick with us on air and online for the latest storm coverage throughout the day. In other news, we are continuing to track the latest developments of COVID-19 across our state. Millions more people are now eligible to get the coronavirus vaccine in North Carolina. The first part of Group 4 is now being vaccinated. Group 4 includes people ages 16 through 64 with high-risk medical conditions and people living in close group settings such as jails and homeless shelters. Governor Roy Cooper is saying that there are plenty of vaccines to meet the demand. Officials are saying that if you still have questions about getting vaccinated, talk to your primary care doctor. COVID patients are still walking through the doors of Caroline East Medical Center. Doctors and nurses say they are better suited for the job in fighting the coronavirus compared to when the pandemic first began. Healthcare workers describe the first few months as chaotic and nerve-wracking. Doctors say there were limited studies on how to handle the virus, and the caregivers now follow policies and guidelines learned from this past year. They say it's easier to understand what is happening now, what symptoms to look out for, and can offer better treatments. But till this day, they are still stepping in as family members because of restrictions placed on visitors. Tonight at 6 and 11, 9 Ear Side's Camila Barco will look at how doctors and nurses have adapted to the pandemic in and out of the hospital. You can also find the full report on WNCT.com. That will do it for our WNCT Now Early Afternoon News Update. As always, if you'd like to learn more information about any of these headlines we talked about today, head over to our website at WNCT.com. Until then, we'll have a late 4 p.m. update coming up this afternoon with more top news headlines. But I'm Kelsey O'Donnell here inside the digital studio. Thank you so much for tuning in.